Why are you sharing your goals with people who haven't earned the right to hear them? Why are you announcing your dreams to the world before they've taken root in your soul? Let me be clear. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Not everyone is meant to carry the weight of your ambition. In fact, most people, though they may smile, though they may not, do not understand, cannot comprehend, and will not support the fire that burns inside of you. And their misunderstanding, their doubt, their subtle skepticism, that is enough to destroy what is not yet fully formed. That is why I tell you this today with conviction. Keep your goals silent. Not forever, not because of fear, but because silence is the seedbed of strength. Your vision needs incubation before it needs celebration. You see, when a man plants a seed in fertile soil, he does not scream at the world, "Come look at my harvest." No, he works in silence. He waters in silence. He protects in silence. And only when the sprout is strong enough, only when the roots have grown deep, does he allow the world to witness the fruit. Your goals are no different. The greatest mistake you can make is to speak too soon, to shout your intentions before they have been forged in action, discipline, and belief. Because once you speak them into the public, you invite commentary. And commentary, especially from those who've never built anything of their own, is poison to the soul. Here is the truth most men never learn. Premature exposure kills destiny. Your goals do not need applause. They need commitment. They do not need validation. They need quiet, relentless pursuit. Now let me take you deeper. When you share your goals, you give away energy. Every time you talk about what you plan to do, you create a false sense of achievement. The mind registers progress where there has been none. And that illusion, however seductive, robs you of the hunger required to actually do the work. This is psychological fact. It is the principle I taught in my philosophy and outlined in my life's work. Thought is the starting point of all achievement, but action is its completion. Thought must be guarded like treasure, especially in its earliest stages. Now, does this mean you should never speak your vision? No, but it must be spoken to the right ears, to the few, not the many, to the builders, not the talkers, to those who believe in possibility, not just probability. Most people will project their own limitations onto your dreams. You must understand this. When you say, "I'm going to start a business," they hear, "I'm going to expose myself to failure." When you say, "I'm going to be financially free," they hear, "I'm going to challenge your comfort zone." When you say, "I'm going to change my life," they hear, "I'm leaving the herd." And that right there is why they resist. Your growth threatens their stagnation. Your silence, on the other hand, gives you power. Power to focus. Power to work. Power to evolve without the noise. So I urge you, keep your goals to yourself until they are too strong to be shaken, until your results can speak louder than your words ever could. Let me offer you an example. When Thomas Edison was working on the electric light, do you think he ran around town telling everyone what he was building? No. He was ridiculed enough for the things he had shared. What sustained him was focus, not feedback, conviction, not consensus. He knew the value of silence, and that same silence is available to you. Because when you keep your goals private, you remove the need to perform. You are no longer doing it for likes, applause, or approval. You are doing it because it is yours. You are doing it because the vision chose you. Understand this, goals are sacred. They are spiritual contracts between who you are and who you are becoming. And contracts, my friend, are not meant to be broadcasted. They are meant to be honored. Now, some will say, "But Napoleon, don't I need accountability?" Yes, but real accountability comes from within. It comes from your integrity, not from someone watching you. If your motivation depends on being seen, you are not serious about success. You are still playing a game of appearances. Real achievement comes from those who can wake up day after day, grind in silence, improve in silence, sacrifice in silence, because they know where they are going. They do not need the crowd. They do not need a cheerleader. They are fueled by vision, not validation. Let me offer you a rule, one that has served countless leaders, entrepreneurs, and giants of industry. Let your results introduce you, not your self-promotion, not your motivational speech, not your New Year's resolution. Let your results, the fruit of your labor, do the talking. Because when you walk into a room and you have built something real, you do not need to announce it. The energy speaks for you. The discipline is evident. The success is undeniable. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the most accomplished people are usually the quietest? That's not a coincidence. It's wisdom. They have learned that power multiplies in silence. That while others are broadcasting dreams they have no intention of chasing, the real builders are too busy laying bricks, too busy reading, too busy studying, too busy executing. And that, my friend, is what you must learn to do. Fall in love with building behind the scenes. Develop the skill of being unseen while you are becoming unstoppable. Silence is not weakness, it is strategy. Now, I know some of you may feel the urge to share. You're excited. You want to declare your goals. You want to feel like you're moving forward just by saying it. But I warn you, this is a trap. Because once you speak it to those who do not understand it, the energy changes. Their doubt becomes your resistance. Their questions become your confusion. Their laughter becomes your fear. Don't let it happen. Protect your goals like you would a newborn child. You wouldn't leave an infant out in a storm, would you? Then don't expose your dream to the elements of public opinion before it's ready to stand on its own. Now let me give you a powerful practice. Write your goals daily, yes, daily. Not once a year, not when you feel motivated, but every single day. Why? Because what you write, you imprint on your subconscious. And what your subconscious accepts, it begins to manifest through action. Do not share your goals with the world. Share them with yourself. Speak them into your journal. Rehearse them in your mind. Feel them in your body. Let them become part of you until the day they begin to show up in your external reality. Because that is the law. What is held in the mind when backed by belief and action must eventually take form in the world. But only if you guard it. Only if you feed it in silence. Only if you believe enough to work without applause. Grind without an audience. And keep showing up even when nobody's watching. That is what separates the few who live their dreams from the many who merely talk about them. They kept quiet long enough to build something unshakable. Now I ask you, are you willing to do the same? Will you resist the urge to post, to announce, to seek validation? Will you be bold enough to build in silence? Will you trust the process long enough to let the results speak? If so, if you do this, you will walk into rooms one day and people will not ask you what you're doing. They'll ask you how you did it. Because success, when born in silence and raised with discipline, is the loudest message of all. Keep your goals silent and let your life become the microphone. Now listen closely. When you speak your goals out loud prematurely, before you've done the work, before the foundation is set, before the roots have grown deep, you risk weakening the very force that fuels your success. Desire mixed with faith. A goal is not an announcement. A goal is a spiritual seed. And what do wise men do with seeds? They plant them in silence, shield them from destructive winds, nourish them quietly, and wait patiently for the sprout. Only then, when the plant has taken hold of the earth, when it can weather the storm, is it shown to the world. But what do most people do? They boast. They talk. They declare loudly for applause and approval. And in doing so, they mistake the sound of claps for the sound of progress. They confuse attention for achievement. Make no mistake, every time you speak your goal to someone who does not understand your vision, you invite resistance. You open the door to criticism, to doubt, to comparison, to opinions that don't matter. And these external voices begin to shape your internal world, causing hesitation where there once was clarity. The subconscious mind is your partner in manifestation, and it does not distinguish between your voice and the voice of your critics. It simply responds to repetition and emotion. So if you repeat your goal with fear, if you discuss your dream and receive doubt in return, that vibration gets stored within your mental blueprint. You are programming your inner world every time you speak. So be intentional. Silence is power, not weakness. Silence is strategy, not secrecy. It is discipline in disguise. Now let me be clear. I am not suggesting you move through life alone. I am not saying never speak of your vision. I am saying be selective. Be wise. Be spiritually mature enough to know the difference between speaking from purpose and speaking for praise. You must protect your goals like sacred scripture, because that is what they are. They are the divine instructions whispered to you and only you. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone is meant to. And if you hand your vision to someone with dull spiritual eyes, they will not see its brilliance. They will question it. They will mishandle it. And sometimes they will destroy it, not out of malice, but ignorance. Understand this. Every time you speak your goals, you are giving away energy. And if you give away too much before the goal is materialized, you drain the very force you need to bring it to life. Words are creative power. You must use them with precision. There is a mysterious force I have written about for decades. It is the law of autosuggestion. It states that whatever you repeatedly say to yourself with emotion will be accepted by your subconscious as truth. That truth will shape your behavior, and your behavior will shape your results. So here's what you do instead of talking to others. You talk to yourself. You write the goal down every morning. You repeat it in silence with conviction. You visualize it with intensity. You imprint it upon your mind with fire. You feel the emotions of having already achieved it. You walk through your day with inner certainty that what you have conceived you shall receive. Let the world be surprised. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them ask, where did this come from? And you will know the answer. It came from within. It came from the silence, from the invisible chambers of your mind where your greatest power resides. This is not philosophy for the faint-hearted. This is for the spiritual warrior, for the builder, for the thinker, for the individual who is tired of empty declarations and shallow applause. This is for the one who is ready to manifest reality through discipline, through mastery, through divine alignment. And here's something else. When you keep your goals silent, you eliminate external pressure. You free yourself from the weight of expectation. You allow your creative spirit to work in peace. You are not building for attention. You are building from intention. This is why those who speak less often accomplish more. They are too busy aligning their thoughts, actions, and beliefs to chase validation. They understand that true success does not announce itself. It arrives, it appears, it manifests, and when it does, it needs no explanation. Think of the farmer. He does not stand in the field every day yelling about the crop he planted. No, he tills the soil. He waters the ground. He waits. He works. He trusts. And one day, the harvest comes, and the world sees the fruit of his hidden labor. You must become that farmer. Till your mind. Water your soul. Trust the laws. And know that if you remain consistent in silence, the reward will be undeniable. Remember this law. If your desire is real, it will burn in the silence. If your desire is weak, it will seek the noise. Do not confuse noise for momentum. Let your work be your voice. Let your progress do the talking. Let your energy announce your presence before your mouth ever does. And now, I must speak plainly once more. The moment you share your dream with people who do not have the capacity to hold it, you make yourself vulnerable to delay. Their doubt becomes your doubt. Their fear becomes your hesitation. And soon you begin to question whether the dream was even real. It was real. You just shared it too soon. It was sacred. You just gave it to people who could not see. Protect the fire. Nurture the flame. Keep it close to your chest until it is a wildfire that no one can ignore. You do not owe anyone an explanation. You do not need anyone's permission. You are not required to make sense to small minds. You are here to manifest greatness, and greatness begins in silence. The road to success is not paved with noise. It is paved with vision, faith, and unshakable discipline. It is traveled not by those who shout, but by those who execute. Not by those who boast, but by those who build. Your goal is a sacred contract between you and infinite intelligence. Do not break that contract by exposing it to disbelief. If you must speak, speak only to your Creator. Speak only to your higher self. Speak only to those who have already walked the path you are now on. The rest, let them wait. Let them watch. And when your success is too loud to be ignored, when the dream becomes real before their eyes, you will smile. Not in arrogance, but in knowing, because you understood what most never will. You kept your goals silent, and in the silence, you became unstoppable. If your goal is sacred, protect it like it is. The world is full of noise, full of doubters, cynics, and idle talkers who have never dared to act on their own dreams, yet they will line up to dissect yours. When you speak too soon, when you cast your vision before it is ready, you risk handing your dream over to minds unequipped to hold it. A goal spoken prematurely can be smothered by someone else's limitations. Let me remind you, not every soul you meet is ready for your ambition. Not every ear is trained to listen without judgment. Not every heart will resonate with your fire. And that is not your concern. Your concern is to nurture the dream quietly, powerfully, until it becomes undeniable. The reason you keep your goals silent isn't rooted in fear. It is anchored in strategy. It is the discipline of protecting momentum. It is the art of building in silence, because silence breeds focus, and focus births greatness. A goal is not a performance, it's a promise. A promise between your current self and your higher self, between who you are and who you are destined to become. It is sacred territory. You don't need an audience to validate what you already know in your spirit. Now listen. Every time you talk about a goal, instead of working on it, your mind releases a small reward, a premature hit of satisfaction. The subconscious feels as though something has been done, but nothing has been done. Not really. It was a counterfeit victory, a distraction dressed as progress. And over time, that habit becomes poisonous. You start mistaking noise for movement, validation for growth. But the man who understands the power of silence, he needs no applause, no confirmation, no nod of approval. He is fueled by the mission, not the reaction. And so he becomes unstoppable. When you hold your goals close, you build resilience. You build certainty. You grow the internal fire that cannot be blown out by a passing opinion. Because you know what most people forget. Early exposure brings early criticism. And criticism is the enemy of confidence if you are not rooted deeply in your why. So don't tell them what you're going to do. Show them when it's done. Your energy is a currency. Spend it wisely. Every time you reveal a goal, you spend energy explaining, defending, and justifying it. That's power you could have used to build. Don't waste your genius explaining blueprints to people who have never lifted a brick. Now you might say, but shouldn't I be held accountable? Shouldn't I share to stay committed? Let me answer that. Accountability does not require a crowd. Accountability begins with self-honor, with discipline, with integrity when no one is watching. The man who is truly committed doesn't need to shout. His work speaks when it's ready. His success becomes the proof. And those who doubted, they will watch in silence as your silence turns into legacy. I urge you, get addicted to the dark. Get comfortable in obscurity. Because it is in the dark that roots grow deepest. It is in solitude that clarity sharpens. And it is in silence that mastery is born. People think they need the spotlight to grow. No. You need the grind. You need the repetition. You need to become the kind of person whose results are so loud your lips can stay sealed. You do not need attention. You need alignment. So be relentless in silence. Rise in silence. Build when nobody is clapping. Work when nobody is watching. That is where champions are made. Don't fear the quiet seasons, they are necessary. That's where power is concentrated, where character is forged, where momentum compounds away from the noise. You are not behind. You are underground, growing, preparing, becoming. Your silence is your strength. Use it wisely. When the time comes, when your work is ready to be revealed, it will not need introduction. It will not beg for attention. It will speak with force, with authority, with finality. People will say, "Where did this come from?" And you will know it came from discipline. It came from late nights, early mornings, and the sacred silence you refuse to abandon. There is one more truth you must embrace. Goals kept private are goals kept pure. They are not muddied by other people's doubts or envy or comparisons. They are held in the highest form between you and your Creator. When you guard a goal like this, something incredible happens. You stop needing outside permission. You stop asking small minds for big advice. You move from being reactive to being intentional. And your life, it becomes unstoppable. This is not about hiding. This is about protecting. This is about focus, commitment, mastery. Because you were not born to be average. You were not born to explain. You were born to build. So build in silence. Build until the results make noise. Build until the doors open. Until the path clears. Until your name becomes synonymous with consistency. And when that moment comes, when the world sees what you've done, they will ask how you did it. And you'll smile, knowing the truth. I stayed silent. I stayed focused. I stayed faithful. And that's all it ever took. Now that you understand the destructive power of premature disclosure and the strength that comes from internal alignment and quiet resolve, let me walk you deeper into the spiritual law that governs this principle. It is a law just as real, just as predictable as gravity itself. The law of vibration and energy. Everything you do, say, and think carries a frequency. Your goals, when first conceived, are in their most delicate and impressionable energetic state. They are soft clay. And if you expose them to the cold air of criticism, the heat of doubt, or the erratic winds of outside opinions, they begin to crack. Your dream, unspoken, has the potential to align purely with your will. It sits within your subconscious mind, being shaped by thought, by faith, by auto-suggestion. But the moment you speak it, prematurely, you risk misalignment, because now the minds of others have entered the room. Their judgments, their fears, their limitations, and yes, even their praise begin to distort the clarity of your original vision. You see, the subconscious mind does not discriminate. It accepts any idea that is repeated with emotional force. When you share your goal and someone says, "That's impossible," and they say it with confidence and emotion, your subconscious hears it as a command unless you are fortified with discipline. Unless your belief is rooted and unwavering, you risk absorbing that doubt. And then it becomes part of your internal programming. Silence protects you. It keeps the soil of your mind fertile and untouched. It preserves the purity of your imagination. And more importantly, it channels your energy inward, where it belongs. Now, do not confuse silence with secrecy born of fear. I do not advocate hiding out of shame or weakness. I advocate silence out of strength, out of awareness, out of knowing that your power is cultivated within, not broadcasted without. You don't need to announce your intentions. You need to embody them. Let your habits speak louder than your declarations. Let your discipline roar louder than your proclamations. When you rise early, when you train your mind daily, when you persist through adversity, when you focus while others are distracted, that is how you declare your goal. Not with words, but with movement. You must become the person who already has what you seek before it arrives. And that transformation happens in private, behind closed doors, in the quiet hours when no one is watching. That is where greatness is born. Have you noticed that the most powerful forces in nature are silent? The seed growing in the soil, the tide pulling the shore, the wind shifting direction. Power does not need to shout. It moves with quiet certainty. So must you. Let me be clear. When you speak too soon, you drain the urgency from your actions. Talking gives you a false reward, a premature dopamine rush. You feel as though you've made progress when in reality you've only expelled energy. Energy that was meant to fuel your action, not your announcement. Silence allows pressure to build. That pressure becomes focus. And focus, sustained, becomes power. It becomes momentum. Let others wonder what you're building. Let them see the results, not the blueprint. When your goal is finally revealed, let it be undeniable because it is already done, not theorized, not discussed, achieved. And understand this, your journey is sacred. It is not a performance. It is a pilgrimage. When you keep your goal private, you are not hiding. You are honoring, you are respecting the magnitude of your mission. You are holding space for the divine process of creation to unfold without interruption. The silence is not empty. It is full of strategy, full of recalibration, full of self-talk, full of visualizations, full of microscopic improvements. Every day that you keep moving without broadcasting, you sharpen your edge. You remove the need for validation. You build intrinsic motivation, that fire from within that cannot be extinguished by outside failure or doubt. When people finally see what you've built, it won't be a surprise. It will be proof. Proof that silence is golden. Proof that discipline speaks volumes. Proof that results shout where words once whispered. The goal you hold inside you right now, it's alive. It has energy. It has direction. But only if you protect it. Only if you feed it with intention. Only if you guard it from contamination. That dream you carry, it doesn't need applause. It needs execution. It doesn't need public validation. It needs private obsession. You are not here to impress. You are here to manifest. You are not here to prove. You are here to become. And becoming happens in the shadows. Becoming happens when no one believes in you but you, when no one applauds your effort, when no one even notices. That's when the roots grow. That's when the structure strengthens. That's when your identity transforms. When the world is silent and you keep working, keep refining, keep sharpening, that is when you become unstoppable. Now I ask you, are you willing to disappear for a while so you can reappear with power? Are you willing to be misunderstood, doubted, even mocked so you can rise beyond what they imagined? Are you willing to endure the silence so you can inherit the strength? That is the question. And if your answer is yes, if your answer is a full-bodied, relentless yes, then stop speaking and start showing. Write the vision. Commit it to your soul. Then bury it like treasure and guard it with your life. Let no one dig it up with doubt. Let no one tamper with it. Let no one steal your fire. Move in silence. Build in silence. Grow in silence. And one day, your results will make all the noise the world cannot ignore.